Where do you put Magnus Carlsen, the current world champion, in the list of all-time greats? In terms of style, moments of brilliance, consistency?
It's a tricky question. The moment you start ranking world
you
champions,
lose something?
I think it's not fair because any new generation knows much more about the game than the previous one. So when people say, oh, Gary was the greatest, Fischer was the greatest, Magnus was the greatest, it disregards the fact that the great players of the past, whether Lasker, Capablanca, Alokian, they knew so little about chess by today's standards. Today, just any kid, that spent a few years, with his or her chess computer knows much more about the games, just because you have access to this information. And it has been discovered generation after generation. We added more and more knowledge to the game of chess. It's about the gap between the world champion and the rest of the field. So now, if you look at the gap, then probably Fischer, could be on top, but very short period of time. Then you should also add a time factor.
Yes.
I was on top, not as big as
Very
Fischer, but much longer. So and also, unlike Fischer, I succeeded in beating next generation.
Yes. Here's the question.
Yeah.
Let's see if you still got the fire. Speaking of the next generation, because you did succeed beating the next generation.
Next, it's close. Okay, what? Anand, Short, Anand, Shirov. Kramnik is already 12 years younger, so that's a next. But still, yet I competed with them, and I beat most of them, and I was still dominant when I left at age 41. So back to Magnus. Magnus, consistency is phenomenal. The reason Magnus is on top and it seems unbeatable today, Magnus is a lethal combination of Fischer and Karpov, which is very unusual because Fischer's style was very dynamic, just fighting to the last pawn. Just using every resource available. Karpov was very different. He had an unparalleled ability to use every piece with a maximum effect. It's minimal resources, always produce maximum effect. So now imagine that you merge these two styles. So it's like, it's squeezing every stone for a drop of water. but doing it, for 50, 60, 70, 80 moves. Magnus could go on as long as Fischer with all his passion and energy, and at the same time being as meticulous and deadly as Karpov by just, using every little advantage. So, and he has good, very good health. It's important. Physical conditions are, by the way, very important. So a lot of people don't recognize it. Their latest study shows that chess players burn thousands of calories during a game. So that puts him on the top of this field of the world champions. But again, it's the discussion that I saw recently on the internet, whether Garry Kasparov of his peak, let's say late 80s, could beat Magnus Carlsen today. It's totally irrelevant because Garry Kasparov in 1989, it's played great chess, but still, I knew very little about chess compared to Magnus Carlsen in 2019, who, by the way, learned from me as well. So that's why, I'm extremely cautious in making any judgment that involves, time gaps.